Welcome to today's meeting of the Transportation Licensing Commission. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, notice is hereby given that if you are not satisfied with a decision made by the Metropolitan Licensing Commission, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. I'm going to skip the review of the minutes for now, but the first substantive item on our agenda is we've been asked to hear from Miss Claudia McCuskey and about a special event plans for the CMA Music Festival later this summer.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Claudia Husky with the Mayor's Office, and I wanted to just chat with y'all real briefly about some of the plans for not only CMA Music Fest, but for the first time in Nashville's history, the Stanley Cup Finals, which we are very excited to be hosting. So there are 14 other teams across the world, really, that would love to be in our position. So we are very excited about that. But the reason I wanted to come to you today was just in case there was any consideration around the operations of slow-moving vehicles downtown during about the window of June 1st until potentially June 14th, which would be a Game 7. Hopefully we will sweep them in 4, so we won't have to worry about any of those other games, but we like to plan ahead. So I distributed a copy of the CMA street closure map for your review. You can see that it is very impactful. We are currently working with the NHL, the Convention and Visitors Corporation, as well as the Sports Council and other partners on what our activation will be for the Stanley Cup Finals watch parties. As I'm sure you've seen on the news, the ones that we have hosted in Walk of Fame Park have far outgrown our capacity there, and so we are looking at other venues. Hopefully we'll have something ready to announce tomorrow, but I can guarantee that it will involve additional road closures that are not even indicated on this map. And so I would gently request that we have no slow-moving vehicles operational downtown during that 2-week period because of the very limited open roads that we will have. We really want to make sure that traffic is flowing as smoothly as possible on those limited arteries, and if we allow for slow-moving vehicles outside of the closure, I think that will just further cause traffic challenges. And Sergeant John Bork is not here, but he is dealing with a lot of other CMA and Stanley Cup related business, and he wanted me to reiterate the traffic challenges that would be incurred if we don't kind of have a little bit of a restriction around downtown, all of downtown. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
If I may, when you look at the street, First Avenue will close on the 1st, and maybe even quicker now. But by the 1st, it's going to close, and it'll basically be closed to the 12th. So 1st is closed. Parts of Broadway will be closed. Parts of 5th will be closed. Parts of DeMumber will be closed. Parts of McGavock will be closed. Part of Malloy will be a good chunk of Malloy will all be closed. The carriage stand will not be available. The carriages, I don't think, will plan on working. The horse carriages will not plan on working. The court of flags will not be available for any loading or unloading during that time period. So there are great challenges for those that have to use those streets. All of the meters on 2nd Avenue will be bagged. which means it will be a very aggressively enforced loading and unloading zone because, again, the nature of the beast that we have coming is not only with CMA but with the Stanley Cup, and then there's actually some other regional events that are in the area that are not impacting directly, but they are impacted from a people standpoint. So it's going to be very challenging, not only for our visitors but for our citizens that actually work downtown, Mr. McNally, Mr. Turner, in the downtown area.
Well, and we have the CMT Awards that are being hosted at this time. Music City Gives Back is another large event that's being hosted at this time, as is 3686, which is a tech conference that Launch Tennessee is putting on, that's at the Schermerhorn. So like Mr. Field said, it is going to be not just CMA and the Stanley Cup Finals, but a lot of other ancillary events that kind of plan around this time with the increase in visitors and overall traffic that we have.
The closures that you're talking about, is this for the entire days, or are there particular hours?
They are for the entire days, mostly where you see indicated. And like I said, there will be additional ones because we will host home games here in Nashville on June 3rd and June 5th. And so where those activations will go, the reason that the closures are so long is because they have to build the festivals. And so it takes a long time, particularly First Avenue, because they build the riverfront stage, actually in the river. I think we're one of the very few festivals that has a stage in the river, and so it's a lot. And
the slow-moving vehicles that you're referring to, are you referring to the pedal taverns and the pedicabs, or are you also including low-speed vehicles like the golf carts? I would say that the first group that you mentioned. I think that the golf carts travel relatively at the speed of traffic and are used for more transit than tours. So, I think that those don't cause quite as much of an impact. I think when I had conversations with MMPD, they view the golf carts, in a similar way to kind of ride share. And, of course, we want to encourage folks to, utilize transit, during this time. So it's mostly the pedicabs, the horse carriages, and the taverns. Thank you.
So, Mr. Fields, right now, horse-drawn carriages have already,
Typically, horse-drawn carriages don't operate
Right.
during CMA as a group because the carriage stand is almost always closed during this time period. And right now, the fact that it's on 2nd Avenue, it's going to be absolutely closed.
you've informed it goes all the way until the 12th,
Well,
which is a Monday.
we had not planned on, I wanted to meet with the commission
Okay.
prior, because again, I don't think it's going to take your action, but I think the reality is if it's closed, it's closed. There's no other place to load in
Right.
that particular case. I think, part of the other problems is again, with slow moving at this particular time, it'll be a challenge downtown regardless.
And then what are the pedal taverns? What's their,
Several of them are here. I've spoken with one. One had already decided, they'd called and I asked the question. They decided they don't plan on operating downtown. They'd like to operate in Midtown, but they don't plan to come downtown at all. I'm not sure what the others had planned, but I think both of them are going to be here today. Again, I think part of what they do is they have places they stop along the way with various businesses, and it's going to be challenging even to drive
Get to those.
downtown, much less tour downtown.
Susky, you had said you were requesting, I thought, June 1st through the 14th. Mostly, all these closures that I've seen, the last date on is June 12th. Can you tell me why the 13th and 14th?
So the 13th and 14th would be potentially if there's a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I think if there is an away game of the Stanley Cup Finals, a Game 7, then we will probably have our largest watch party ever. And so the plans are very tentative for that one, but that would be a lot of excitement. And I imagine that there will still be a lot of road closures. And the 13th, we would have to build whatever we end up making happen for the 14th. So if, if that is an undue burden on the businesses, then we would certainly be open to operations on the 13th and 14th. I just don't have enough details to share with you at the moment on what the plans would be for that day, and so I hesitate to have to come back to you and say, oh, we have to cover all of downtown for a 200,000 person watch party because the city is just electrified and this is game 7 and the momentum is crazy, and so I defer to your wisdom as commissioners on what is most appropriate for those 2 days.
From a logistical standpoint, I'll put my Public Works hat on for a second. From a logistical standpoint, for Public Works, once the streets are closed, it would be challenging to open them for a day and then close them the next day. So my guess is we would probably keep much of the infrastructure in place rather than try to open it and close it and open and close it, because again, it's just from a manpower standpoint and a reality standpoint, by the time you open it, it then has to be closed. But there may be some accommodations we could do, but I certainly I get the request.
We could potentially be looking at a 4th of July, New Year's Eve level closure for a game 7.
Closures, so stages can be built and festivities set up along these particular streets.
Yes, sir.
And what you're asking is that on the streets that are not closed, that the low-speed vehicles, or not the low-speed, the pedal tavern, the slow-moving ones, the pedal taverns, the pedal cabs, and the horse-drawn carriages would not be on those streets that are open downtown.
Yes, sir.
Okay. From the 1st through the 14th.
Yes, sir. Just, with there being so few streets that are even open for traffic, I would imagine that if you were a constituent and were the car behind, one of those vehicles, it could be a frustrating situation in the gridlock that's already going to be happening. And so I think just from a city's perspective, if folks are okay to operate in Midtown, which is another, wonderful part of our town and our neighborhoods, I think that would be very wise. I would need to check with Sergeant Bork and see what his thoughts are on that. He's definitely more of a traffic expert. I know things are congested in that area already, and so I would imagine that some of the downtown congestion would transfer there. But I think that, again, we could certainly be reasonable, particularly on the build days, if they want to have operations in the Gulch kind of, on the days that weren't activated. So, there would be no game on June 4th, if they wanted to operate then, June 2nd, that before CMA Fest really starts on the non-active days, those would probably be okay because you don't have that game traffic, coming into downtown, so it's not quite as taxing. But on June 3rd, when we would have a game and all of the activations, then I would say, the Gulch probably wouldn't be the best place.
Okay, thanks.
Right now, pedicabs are prohibited from operating in the morning rush hour time and then the evening rush hour time. I know I think it's obvious why there are concerns about the pedal taverns. Or do you have the same level of concern with the pedicabs?
It's just the speed of the vehicle. Again, I know that they all have, a great business and provide something, for our city, but because of the hilly nature of our streets downtown in particular, if you are going from, Bridgestone Arena kind of up 3rd or up 5th, towards, a business with 2 passengers in the back, and, they happen to be heavier ones, and so you're working real hard to get them up there. You're probably not operating at a very quick speed, and so I think that, when you're not, motorized to the same level and have the same speeds as the golf carts, that makes it challenging.
Thank you. I apologize for misstating your last name when
No,
I
it's okay.
introduced you off
No problem.
the agenda. So thank you, Ms.
I
Husky.
get hushy and, you know, all sorts of good stuff. I said, you know, my name doesn't get misspelled as often as the mayor's, so that's okay. Thank you.
Again, we still need a commission. I know a couple of the pedals, at least two of the pedal carriages are here. All three are here. They could probably speak to what their plans have been. Again, I know one had called and said they weren't going to be down there anyway. So if you'd like to take a minute and we could at least hear that. And if not, you don't have to hear that either, so.
I mean, we're just gonna be sitting here, so I'm happy to hear from any of the pedicabs if they'd like to speak on the issue
If any of the pedals would, pedal operators, if y'all would like to talk about what you plan to do for CMA during that time period. No, Emmett's here and Ms. Pizzatola and the tavern. So all three of the pedal carriage companies are here.
Good afternoon. Susan Pizzatola with the Country Music Crawler. I'm the one that spoke to Mr. Fields. I'm not operating the week of the CMA. This will only affect me probably the weekend before, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which I don't have a problem of relocating and rerouting. Pretty simple.
Thank you.
That resolves that quickly. Mr. Martin, would you like to, do you have your plans for CMA in that time period?
Yeah, this is a complete surprise to me. I had no idea that this was going on. But we don't operate downtown anyways because all the streets are closed. So we operate a Gulch route, and I can tell you from the past 2 years, that area is completely dead because everybody's downtown. It's pretty simple. It's dead in the Gulch, so we have a great Gulch route. I was actually surprised at how dead it is in that area. So everything that they're talking about is in the area that we've already planned to not operate. But to say for us to not be able to operate anywhere, I think would definitely hurt us. So thanks.
We now have quorum. Thank you. Well, based on that, that's the three of the pedal carriage companies, and they plan not to be downtown. If we can work with them in other parts of the town, then clearly that would not be an issue. If the golf carts aren't, if the low-speed vehicles then aren't an issue, we'll just contact the pedicab folks. And basically what I'm going to do, because from a staff standpoint, we have the authority to establish it, but again, because of the nature of it, I wanted to make sure that y'all were advised of what we were doing. We'll basically ask those companies, the slow-moving companies, not to be operating from First Avenue up to Union to 8th to KVB. And that'll be is that
Charlotte instead of Union.
all the way to Charlotte? So to the courthouse, from the courthouse to KVB, from the river to Rosa Parks or 8th. And I'll send an email and advise them of that.
And honestly, if operations in the Gulch are helpful, then, you know, I just double checked and we're okay with that. So, thank you. Again,
Thank you.
maybe just not on the 2 home games, and I would just make that request, just on that Saturday and, you know, potentially the Monday, just because I think it'll be nutty. But other than those days, we'll probably be okay.
We'll go west to 8th, Rosa Parks. It just makes a pretty good square. It's that's the downtown core, as I would call it. So we'll just inform. We'll send the same to everybody. But again, in talking with most of the carriage folks, I've not talked to all of them. They had planned to come down because they don't. Again, there's no place to pick up and drop off. So, thank you.
That's an issue.
And again, I don't think any action is specifically required. Even though you now have quorum, you don't have any action on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review last month's meeting minutes?
I have.
Is there a motion regarding those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have other passenger vehicles for hire, new company applications. The first is Dana Limo. We have Nash Limo, Nashville Ride Downtown, Professional Logistics Services, and First Impression Limousine. Mr. Fields.
All of the company, I apologize, I'm just trying to communicate with the other commissioner. Dana Limo, Nash Limo, Nashville Ride Downtown Professional Logistics Service, and First Impression Limo. The applications are in front of you. They're in order.
Move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We also have a certificate modification review, company name change application review for Metro Livery.
Metro Livery has requested a name change from Metro Livery to Bakari USA Incorporated. The Incorporated did not make the application. I apologize for that, but it would be it would be Bakari USA Incorporated. And again, it has to be presented to the commission has to deal with it because it's a change to the application itself.
And no other issues.
No other issues.
Move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We also have a modification review by Facia Limousine Company.
On that particular one, they are going to add Mr. Mulugeta as a partner and remove Mr. Tekiana as a partner. Again, it requires your approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We also have driver applications by Michael Ray Floyd, Douglas Ross Gee, and Christian Miguel Gutierrez.
I apologize. It's been a challenging day.
To say the least.
Mr. Floyd made application to be other passenger vehicle for hire. Mr. Floyd, are you present? Yes, I am. Please come on. In making his application, Mr. Floyd neglected to list the 1977 charge. Everything else is in order. Yes,
You say that was from 1977?
77.
Third-degree burglary, non-residents. How'd you forget to list it?
Sir,
How did you forget to list the burglary charge?
you know, it was such a long time ago, and I was a knucklehead back then. To be honest with you, the dates, I did fail to put it down.
Burglary third degree is a non-resident. I take it was a business or something? Or a
Yes, sir. It was
outhouse?
a bunch of young guys. We were drinking and decided to hit the front window of a 7-Eleven and take a case of beer, which was, again, I apologize for leaving that off.
Mr. Floyd, it looks like a case was also dismissed.
Yes, sir, it was.
I'd move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, what do I need to do now?
Just come back to you.
Next is Douglas Ross Gee.
Mr. G, in making his application to be another passenger vehicle for hired driver, Mr. G neglected to list 1991 possession of stolen property and the same year 1991 burglary charge. Everything else was listed. And you have a representative from Grand Avenue
Yes.
as well if needed. You're welcome to get on camera if you like, but you don't have to.
So, Mr. G, you
Yes, sir.
you left off some,
Yes, on mine I had
Arrest.
wrote in probation, considering that I got in trouble for minor possession or I was drinking at the same time, and I thought it was all included in one, so I put probation for 3 years. So I considered that just tie everything as one thing. That was my bad on mislabeling. I've never been in trouble since. I was 18 years old, just a dumb kid. But I did put the probation, as I considered, was tied into it, so.
And you were in Maricopa County, Arizona.
Yes.
I've just heard a lot about Maricopa County.
Hey, Sheriff Joe Pyle's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool cat.
You're saying you thought you had included it when you put down probation?
Yeah, I put what I served my charges for, I put down probation for 3 years. So I figured since I put probation for 3 years, that when you looked at my record, it would say what So I was trying to tie everything into one, and I should have listed everything individually, which was 18 years old. I'm 43 now. And I don't look back that far.
I may be misreading it, but I thought your application here says I had probation when I was 16 for 2 years.
Yeah, that I went into. I thought it was at 16 into my 18.
But it was actually 3 years of probation when you were 18.
Actually, it was 2 years. They let me go 1 year early
Okay.
Probation discharge.
for good behavior, I'm assuming.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you, gentlemen.
passes.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mr. G. Next is Christian Miguel Gutierrez.
In making his application, he failed to list a 2013 driving on a suspended license.
I take it your license is now valid?
Yes, correct.
Why was your license suspended?
What's that, sir?
Why was your license suspended?
Failed to pay a traffic ticket. And I was in military training that year, during that summer.
What was the traffic ticket for? Speeding?
Speeding on 84 on the 70.
I see you wrote that in on your application.
Yes.
How long was your license suspended?
I can't recall. Don't remember. It's a couple months, 3 or 4 months.
You got a traffic ticket for speeding and no insurance
Yeah.
out of Wilson County. And then your license was suspended because of those offenses?
I believe so.
Did you not pay the ticket or not go to court?
I didn't go to court,
You
but I
missed
did pay
court.
the ticket. Because I was in military training at that time.
And then you get arrested for driving on a suspended license, which is the case that you hadn't reported, right?
Didn't get arrested, no.
You got cited.
I believe so, yeah.
You got charged.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
What was the outcome of the case?
I paid it. I mean, I got it renewed. I got the license renewed.
So you showed up with your driver's license in court?
Yes.
What happened then?
They dismissed it, I believe.
Okay. I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Next, we have a driver application review for wrecker and towing services for Mr. Robbie Randall Moore and Norvin Sevilla Palma.
Mr. Moore?
How you doing?
Hi. Mr. Fields?
In Mr. Sevilla Palmer made application. He listed everything. It's extensive. It's not recent, but it was enough that I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. Wanted you to consider it. I spoke with A.B. Collier. I'm sorry. Robert is here. He can speak for himself, but he said he would be very happy to hire him if the commission saw fit to issue a record permit. But again, there are no disqualifiers on the permit, just several charges.
And if I may say something, one of the first things we do when we get a driver applicant is we run it through our insurance company, because if we can't pass the insurance, there's no reason to go any further. And I don't know how many years the insurance company goes back, but they're very thorough, and they came back with a clean record for him. That's why we proceeded on. So whatever he had, it must be outside the insurance's realm of investigation.
All right, is the assault from October 28, 2009 that wasn't reported? Because that's listed as a domestic assault aggravated on this TBI report.
Again, it's extensive.
Because I'm also looking at November 3rd, 2009. They've got listed aggravated assault, serious bodily injury.
Yeah, I never been charged with that.
Wait a minute, are you?
Mr. Moore.
You're looking-
I'm looking at Mr. Moore, never mind, sorry.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, wait a minute, we're looking at two different things.
Mr. Moore's the first one up here.
Yeah.
What happened to Mr. Moore?
We'll find that in a second. You find it. I don't know if he's here. We just got him out of work.
My mistake. Second offense,
Within the last 5 years.
yeah. Surprised the insurance didn't pick up the second offense DUI in 2013.
Yeah, that was a reckless. I was at the legal limit.
It played-
So it played down to a reckless, though.
No, I never had a second offense. You know, I wasn't impaired.
But we're just going by what you wrote down.
Yeah, they charged me for a second. But they gave me a blood test and I was at the legal limit.
Did you see where it put it
See it reckless up here
down? Okay, so they reduced it.
in 2014.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sevilla, what was the explanation about the driving under the influence second offense from 2013?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, they pulled me over and they charged me with second offense. I mean, but when it came back, I was at the legal limit. So
I'm a little bit in the dark here because I've never had privy to what you guys are looking at, nor do I know what the insurance company's looking at. This is a real learning experience for me standing up here.
Yeah. Well, I got charged with reckless, you know.
It appears that, I mean, based on what he's described, he would have been arrested, he would have been charged. Then they would have done a blood test, and that would be after the fact, after he was charged, I assume. And then is that what would happen if they found that he was not legally intoxicated? That charge could be dropped, and they just went forth on the reckless driving?
Well, I can tell you what I can read here, that on December 19, 2013, you were arrested and charged with driving under the influence, second offense, and also with an open container violation.
Yes, but I wasn't charged.
Hold on. Let me just get through part of this here. And that April 1st, 2014, they pled the DUI second offense down to reckless driving. You entered a guilty plea. You took a 6 months probation. It looks like 48 hours to serve.
Yes.
And I do not see a disposition for the open container violation. So, and that was about 2 years ago.
Well, that was 3 years ago. You know, that happened in 2013. I went to court
April 1st, 2014.
Yeah, and no, that was when I was
3 years ago. You're right.
That's when I pleaded, but yeah, I was. I think open container that was dismissed. Yeah.
That would make sense.
And then your original DUI charge was from 2009, is that right?
Yes.
But Ms. Field, there's nothing that precludes that.
There's nothing that would preclude him from being a record driver. Again, if A.B. Collier wants to hire them, if you license them. The one thing that we've begun doing as a staff, anytime you approve, we assign them to that company. And if they change companies, we're requiring them to come back to us. And of course, if you restrict them, they have to come back to us.
Okay.
I would like that if you decide to do that. I'd like it to be where it's just not an open license.
What does that accomplish by restricting them to a particular company? Or,
Well,
or
if-
restricting them to where they got to tell you if they change company?
If you restrict them, mostly we're knowing where they are, but if you restrict them, it specifically means they're working for that company. And if they want to work for another company, if you restrict them, for instance, if you restrict to record at company A and they want to go to record company B, since you made the restriction, they would have to appear back in front of you to explain why they wanted to go, very much like we did 2 months ago or 3 months ago. We had a driver who wanted to change after 6 months. And at that point, there had not been any issue. You agreed to lift the restriction. Anytime after, if you restrict, and then after a year, the restriction goes away anyway, unless you specifically said, I want him restricted for the terms of his permit, as long as he has a permit. And you've not done that I'm aware of.
I think in the past, since I've probably been on here the longest, there were some
Yes.
less than reputable towing companies that maybe didn't provide the same level of supervision that we have with others.
Right.
And so we always felt like restricting them to a first-class operator was a little bit easier for us to digest.
Can we require drug testing and substance?
We'll voluntarily do that.
I mean, I'll
Say
do
what?
them now.
We'll voluntarily do that.
How often?
Whatever you want.
All right.
Yes, you've done that, and companies, especially our emergency company, AB Car is one of our emergencies, and they certainly are very appreciative of their zone, and they will work with the commission on your decisions.
Based on you said it was kind of eye-opening what was occurring here. Based on everything, are you still willing to hire him?
I still don't see what you're seeing. And I'm too puzzled that the insurance company okayed him so readily if he had those charges so recently.
We're just looking at the TBI report. That
Oh,
was
I understand, but you can understand, I don't get to see that. And when-
What I'm seeing that raises some concern to me is there's a reckless driving conviction from April 1st, 2014, that was based upon an alcohol-related offense. And my concern might be whether we need to be worried about this gentleman consuming alcohol and work and driving a record.
And believe me, we would be concerned too.
Okay.
Because we have a really.
Based on that, would you still want to hire him?
It's based on what his response to you were.
Yeah.
If that's the truth, yes, I'd give him a chance, but it would be closely monitored.
Well, that sounds like a reason for a restriction to me.
Yep.
All right, I'll move to approve this application and restrict it to AB Towing Company?
A.B. Collier.
A.B. Collier Towing Company. And I would ask you to make sure you monitor for alcohol and drug use.
That's no problem.
And 6 month, and I'll make it for a 6-month restriction.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Sevilla. Next is Robbie Randall Moore.
Mr. Moore? Robbie Randall Moore.
Did Mr. Moore also fail to disclose?
Failed to disclose 2011 theft and a 2015 driving on a suspended license.
Haven't heard anything from the a company or anything?
We assumed he would be here today.
You want to just push it to next?
Your options are to deny it or push it. Roll it.
Move we defer until the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have a company application review for all around the clock towing.
Mr. Curry? Mr. Curry has been a licensed company with the TLC in the past. He failed to renew for the last couple of years. He and I have had a conversation. He received a couple of citations from the Metropolitan Police Department. We conferred, and he agreed that he should have come in for licensing. However, since he received the violations while he was unlicensed, I wanted him to appear. He is in order. He was in order before. He certainly, everything is in order for him to renew. However, again, he had that little blotch, so coming back under probation seemed to be, or at least consideration of a probationary period to make sure we're all on the same page.
Are you recommending renewal with probation?
Mm-hmm. And his driver's permit's also in that same package. And again, he's qualified to be a driver. He'd been a driver and he'd been a company before. He just did not come back in, and I think it's easier to get renewed now. If you agree, it's easier for him to renew than it is to get any more citations. I don't think he wants any more. That's been my experience.
Have you been operating as a driver doing that?
Yes, yes.
Ever any complaints on Mr. Moore? No.
Not until the police officer called me and said, I have a wrecker on the side of the road. Would you please share with me the ordinance citations, which I did.
I know I'm repeating myself, but based on everything that you know on this case, you'd recommend renewing it and
Allow him to operate with a probation period.
For how long?
You know, he operated for about a year without a permit, I think, so a year of probation seems to be reasonable.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah, I move approval with 1 year's probation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Or excuse me, Mr. Curry. I apologize.
Mr.
Next.
Moore's gone, isn't it?
We have an employee application review for Michael Edward Brake under
Mr. Brake.
booting.
Mr. Brake, Michael Brake. Mr. Brake had applied for a booting employee permit. When I reviewed his record, I felt like I wanted to share it with you. He's not present.
This is one where he's on the sex offender registry?
Correct. It's not a disqualifier under this ordinance.
For booty.
His failure to appear is enough for denial.
Apparently, Metro Council is going to have a second reading about setting some rules regarding
Correct.
not making people else. Go ahead.
As a staff, we've recommended, many times we bring things to you. Some things, it's so large, we move directly to council after some conversations with you. There are no qualifications at present in 681 for booting services. It's very limited on our review of the employees that are actually allowed to boot. We've asked Metro Council, and it'll be on second reading, to basically put the same qualifying and disqualifying language in the booting that we have on low speed, taxi cabs, other passenger vehicles for hire. We basically we're trying to move toward everybody having the same standard to be an employee or a driver for any of our companies.
And I was going to make a motion to deny this application. Mr. Brake hasn't shown up. One of his charges, his conviction, is aggravated rape of a child, a male child, 9 years old. And the fact that Metro Council very likely is going to make him ineligible here shortly, I'd just soon deal with it today and go ahead and deny it since he didn't show up.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on our agenda falls under low-speed vehicles. We have a change of address review for Joyride Tours.
Joyride Tours has, they have moved their operations or their address, and it just has to be approved by the commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We also have some driver applications. Dylan Parker Callahan, Melissa Angelina Barreo, and Tyler Christian Clark.
Mr. Callahan? Come up, please. In making his application, Mr. Callahan failed to list a 2016 charge on domestic assault. He explained that those records had been expunged and copies of those expungement orders are attached. Failure to list the expungement meant our office denial and an appearance in front of the commission if he wanted to pursue. Those charges were dismissed and expunged on December 14th of 2016.
Did he make his application April 26, 2017?
Yes.
So 4 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you list it?
I was not told at the office that any expunge charges were going to be followed up with. I had just gotten them expunged, and they did not tell me before I had left the office that day that any expunge charges were going to be listed there. I didn't think that it would still show up. It had been a few months since the expungement had happened, so I wasn't aware that it would still show up.
Well, I am puzzled at how Mr. Fields' office did find out that you had this expunged offense since it had gone through there, but come here a second. Is that your handwriting where you filled out this application?
Yes, sir.
All right, now come here. What does it say right up there at the top sentence?
Not excluding.
Now, speak up.
Not including expungements. Is that what it's not?
Did they have to tell you that when it's there in writing?
I believe not. No, not if it's on the paper.
It does say including expungements.
It also says it on the front.
Yeah.
The front actually says, please write the approximate date, make full disclosure of all charges, and it's including arrests, convictions, or expungement.
If you'd put that down there, we wouldn't be here today. And you wouldn't be standing up there.
That is true.
It's on public TV here.
I understand.
Mr. Callahan, it is not the responsibility of the Transportation Licensing Commission to tell you to include expungements. However, on the application in black and white, it says in bold to put down everything, arrests, whether or not there was a conviction, whether or not there was an expungement. You have to disclose everything.
Yes, sir.
And that is so we can make a deliberate decision on whether or not to grant your application.
Yes, sir.
And the primary consideration for this commission is public safety. And we don't take the task lightly, so we carefully review every application. Mr. Fields and the employees at the TLC carefully review every application. Most don't even get to this point because the reviews are complete and accurate, and Mr. Fields and his team are able to make a decision without involving us. When you don't include things, when people leave things off, and in this case, your failure to disclose all of your prior arrests or convictions, even if they were expunged, is the reason why you're here today. So I do not think you should put any blame on anyone else except yourself.
Understandable.
Who was the victim
In the case?
in the domestic violence case?
It was my grandmother, but in my defense, she had a revolver pointed at me and my fiance during said argument, which she was not convicted for. They found the firearm. MNPD did find the firearm that was pointed at me and my fiance, and they did not charge her with any possession of firearms. She did not have a permit for said firearm. But yes, my grandmother was involved in the case.
Why was it dismissed?
It was dismissed because of the lightness of the assault charge. The only reason why I was charged with the assault was when I tried to take the firearm from her, because she had it pointed at me and my fiance, and my 3-year-old child was also in the house as well. So I feared for not only my life, my fiance's life, and my son's life at the time. I kind of acted out of spite and just tried to take it from her, and they gave me that assault for that lunging motion. That's what was said in the police report after I'd gotten a copy of it.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve his application, given the explanation.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Next is Miss Varello.
In making her application, she failed to list leaving the scene of an accident, which was dismissed.
What was the date of it?
I apologize.
12/10/12.
When?
12/10/12.
Yeah, back in 2012.
How'd you forget it? Or why?
Valid question. When I filled out the application and fearing, I'm scared to death to answer this question after the last one. And filling out the application, I saw that, and on, when I was arrested for the DUI, it went to Supreme Court. I wasn't driving. I was in my house. And so when I was arrested, there was a lot of charges. They said that they touched the hood of my car, so I must have been driving, and there was a crash in my car, or on the bumper, so, they assumed that there might have been a wreck. And I simply didn't recall all of that. It was a pretty traumatic time. I haven't had a drink since that day. Williamson County Police brought me to a bottom of my understanding that was lovely, and I've moved on with my life. But the fact of the matter is, I simply didn't recall. I simply didn't recall. I didn't recall any of that. I went to the courthouse as soon as I was made aware, because I pulled a driver's abstract. I didn't want to answer this dishonestly. I thought that in mentioning the DUI, that would cover all of the things that occurred that day. I really, really thought that I was approaching it honestly. So when I went to Williamson County and I went to the clerk, she pulled the file and we looked at it, realized these charges had not been dismissed. So she went down and spoke with the attorney general who's there and the judge. They had them dismissed, and now I have to go back to have them fully expunged next week. So I'm in process of this. I didn't know, I wasn't aware, and that's all of it.
They're the court. She brought back court orders.
And we have those copies in
They
here.
should be
Yep.
in your file.
Okay.
This is absolutely a mistake I'm, moving on from.
All right, so the violation of implied consent and the failure to report the accident you're taking care of down Williamson County, and you're saying you just simply forgot to mention those,
Absolutely,
both offenses?
yes.
And that happened at the same time you were charged with driving under the influence?
Yes, same night.
I think I understand a little bit better here. You were charged with the warrants initially by the Williamson County Sheriff's Department of Police down there with all these offenses, all 3 offenses. And then your case went to the grand jury and you were only indicted on the DUI case, so you went up to the circuit court on the DUI case, is what you said? From
Yes,
what
sir.
I see here?
Yes, sir.
And you've gone back and asked to have the cases that were not presented to the grand jury or that the grand jury didn't indict you on dismissed.
Yes, sir.
Which were, there's actually 2 things that weren't listed. That was the violation of implied consent and failure to report an accident.
Yep.
I would make a motion to approve her application.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Tyler Christian Clark.
Mr. Clark? Mr. Clark has applied to be a low-speed driver as well as a a bike rider, pedal driver. They call them lots of things. The reason he's in front of you today, on April 17th, he received a citation from one of our inspectors for operating a pedal vehicle without a permit.
Mr. Fields, may I correct you?
I'm sorry?
That was on the 22nd.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Afternoon.
And I think we went to court. Have you already been in court on
Not
that?
yet.
Oh,
No,
you've
sir.
not?
It's going on June 21st. How are we doing today, Commissioners?
Pretty good.
Good.
You were operating a low-speed vehicle?
I was operating one of the pedal taverns, the country music crawler.
With a violation on one, we typically, well, with an outstanding violation, we'd have to come in front of you. We want everybody to be compliant, so clearly, compliance is what we're always wanting.
Mr. Fields, you seem to be familiar with this one. Do you have a recommendation?
I think it's appropriate for him to be approved and be placed on a probationary period for a year.
Is Music City Crawler not required to be here since he was operating there?
The owner is
They're
here.
here.
Oh, okay.
The issue with Music City Crawler and Mr. Clark, that would both be going to they'd both be going to court?
No, the only one that was charged was Mr. Clark.
So Music City Crawler could let anybody drive and nothing happens?
Well, we did not charge them, bring them in. There is some benefit of the doubt. occasionally we'll give, and more often than occasion, that we'll give companies who will end up with a driver on, but the company is absolutely, all companies are responsible for the drivers that operate under their name and colors.
Just to clarify, it's Country Music Crawler.
Country Music Crawler.
Country
yes,
Music
sir.
Crawler.
Oh, all right.
And there's both a permit to be a low-speed vehicle and a pedal
Correct.
Yes, sir.
person for Mr. Clark today.
Two separate applications.
Ms. Pizzatola, can you come up, please? What procedures do you have in place to ensure that all of your drivers are properly fitted?
Once I hire them, they do their application, they go through Mr. Fields, get the permit and all the paperwork, and it comes back to me. This is really honestly a total misunderstanding with Mr. Clark. He works for Joyride also with a low-speed vehicle permit, and he came over to me. Prior to me, last year he'd worked with Sip and Cycle, a company that's no longer in business, so he had a pedal carriage permit.
I was under the impression.
Yeah,
of,
under the
yes.
impression that he had it.
Yeah, I did not ever officially receive my pedal permit from my boss at the time.
From the prior owner who can not be reached
Right.
at this time. In response to him and myself, we was under the understanding that the low-speed vehicle permit, pedal carriage permit, covered both, and it does not. I did research last night, and I spoke to Ms. Ladd about it. It's the same application if you were to look at it, but however, at the top of your application, one says low-speed vehicle, the other one says pedal carriage. Besides your top of your application down, same exact application, same exact process, same exact background, same everything, even the same permit laminated. The only difference is your application or the city's application says low speed and one says pedal carriage.
Unfortunately, the ordinance 673 and 675 are two separate ordinances which require two different licenses.
Right.
And that was Sip and Cycle, there's a story there that
Yeah.
beyond. So the reason the reason I'm agreeable and not looking, don't want to discipline him. I just want him to be on a probationary period. It's very possible that he believed he was licensed, even though he didn't have it in his possession. But then he also, without renewing it this year, he would have been without. But again, entering on probation, he's already in court, allowing him to come on probation. She needs drivers. They all need drivers. So there's certainly nothing. We don't want to do anything that would, prohibit companies. We just certainly want to make sure that they are compliant.
Right.
Absolutely.
One other question I want to note on this, and I spoke to Ms. Ladd earlier, is with the two separate applications, two different permits, this gentleman's low-speed vehicle permit was pulled when he went to renew it on April 25th. He was not allowed to renew it, and they obviously would not let him renew his pedal carriage permit because he has an outstanding ticket. He's been without a job for 30 days now. 30 days from my company, it's understandable. No reason his low-speed permit should have been pulled from Joyride. He was not ticketed or fined for anything that has related to that job. As Mr. Fields just stated, it's two separate publications. So he has suffered 30 days unemployment.
I'm sorry, 673.
670, yeah.
673 very clearly says, the director is authorized to suspend, revoke, otherwise restrict, not renew any driver's permit under this article for failing or refusing to comply with provisions of this chapter and or the MTLC rules and regulations. Under the suspension, revocation, or restriction, he can appeal. Again, what we did was, because he violated another section, we did not renew, we asked him to appear, and that's his appeal today. And again, I don't have a problem renewing it, but failure on one means a visit to the commission. That's why we've always operated.
Okay.
Seems appropriate.
And I imagine that's because the offense could very well be of a wider scope that we wouldn't want. In this instance, it might not be.
Right.
But in very many other instances, it might be very broad scope that we wouldn't want him to operate anything.
I agree. And I've learned a lot from Mr. Fields and reading and researching to get the answers to this, and I absolutely agree.
Our goal is compliance. It's all we try to do is keep people compliant.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve both permit applications and place Mr. Clark on 1-year probation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have change of address review for Music City Rickshaw LLC under pedal vehicles.
Very similar to the others. They've made a change, an address change, and it just needs to be applied to the application. We can't do that without your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Aye.
We also have 2 complaints brought before us today. The first is a complaint against Southside Towing and Recovery. Mr. Fields has informed me that the owner of Southside would like to make a preliminary statement before we go forward.
Come up here, Mr. Beard. My name's George Duzane, by the way. Here's the situation we've got before you. First of all, we're not going to contest the allegations because of the fact that we've been in business for 10.5 years. But there's 2 issues that the board needs to clean up. One of the issues is the $25 administration fee. Under your section there, 60-80-550I, says that you charge an administration fee within a reasonable time on a vehicle, on the lot, more than 30 days, where in the state section, I believe it's on a vehicle in the lot more than 3 days. I've advised my client, based upon the ambiguity, send out the letter the very next day. And in that letter, put in there's going to be an administration fee, as well as the other issue in regard to the first 2 complaints is the set-off fee. People don't bring their insurance up there. I've advised him in his letter, as opposed to what he normally sent out or what he normally sends out, instead of any and all fees incurred, to specifically put in there, bring your proof of insurance when you come to pick this vehicle up. I'm also going to tell him when I walk out of here after listening to y'all, he's going to attach the rate card to the letter so they will know. Now, on the first 2 complaints, we're going to refund $60. We're not going to refund the full amount of the fee because no one admit that they're in the wrong by having a non-consent tow. So on the first 2, we're going to give them the $35 back, $25 back, and I suggest y'all amend your code or whatever you got to do to bring it in compliance with state law. In regard to the third lady here, we're going to release her vehicle. We're not going to dispute the facts. It was a non-consent tow. We complied with the law in regard to everything we were supposed to do, but in the effort to bring this thing to an end and to continue our good relationship with you, we're coming in here with our hat in our hand. I've talked to Mr. Fields over here. I've got a new friend over there, Mr. Morris, and we're going to keep Southside Towing straight, and that's what we're asking. I'm sure he's going to recommend probably probation for a year, and if he does, I'm just going to ask you to reconsider it after 6 months. You know, people hate to pay lawyers, and we don't get paid until after the fact when they're already in trouble, and we have to resolve it. So based upon that, all this is in good faith to bring this to a good resolution. We don't need any problems with y'all. We don't want any more problems, and that's where we are with this situation. If you have any questions of Mr. Beard, now Mr. Beard just replaced Miss Bonnie Mayer. And I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but what happened was once the complaints came, she put in her 2-week notice. We didn't realize what was going on. He picked up the pieces. I've explained to him what needs to be done. I've even instructed him on a couple of other issues that Mr. Morris has brought up with me. So hopefully you will not see us back here. And hopefully, if there is another complaint, Mr. Beard will contact me on the front end as opposed to the back end. And I want y'all to know that other than the last lady here, nobody's written us a letter, called us, and said you were unfair with us. We caught wind of this based upon the complaints.
Are you in agreement with what he's saying as far as the compliance with adding the bills to the letter, sending them out the very next day? I mean, he's saying, are you agreeing?
And he's talking about from here forward on all of them, because that's, I mean, we do what state regulated of us anyway. Usually within receiving the impound and I get my invoice in the next following day, I'll begin my state paperwork where I send them a check and ask for all the paperwork back so we can send out to the lien holders. So we do that usually within a day or 2 days of getting the invoice back and having a vehicle. We usually will give them 24 hours, to say, hey, I'm coming to get it, or whether not.
I'm talking about this letter
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Putting all that in there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I can add that in there.
We're talking about,
Yes,
I'm talking about the letter, the certified letter he sends out to everybody.
which that takes the state anywhere from 10 to 15 days to get that back to me anyway. After sending it in.
The state process, he's right, the state process is challenging at best for the companies. The state requires them to respond, to move on 3 days.
Yes.
The current ordinance requires 10 days. Obviously, the state trumps the city. We're in the process probably at the June meeting. Actually, we've already drafted that because we did to take it to council to make some correction. We've also got 2 or 3 other changes we're going to be asking you to consider in June. I think, again, for us, our goal is compliance and public safety. And public safety includes being able to retrieve your car within an hour of it being towed and so forth. We've been over, Inspector has spent some time with Mr. Zuzane today. We have a pledge from the company making the refunds that he's talking about making, as well as then working with the inspector. I would recommend a year's probation. However, I would say that I would be also agreeable in 6 months to come back to the commission and assuming everything works out, the issues that we have out there are corrected to our satisfaction, our agreement satisfaction. Again, we're not tyrants, is to accept what they would like to do, make the people whole, get the cars returned, get those couple of the fees returned, and then do a probationary period and then correct any other deficiency that might be either on the lot or within the processes.
Is the complainant here?
Two of them are. The
Kleinfelder's not here. It's my
The Kleinfelder's not
We're
here.
going to send him his $60 plus his tax. He says we can't charge tax, and he's counsel. He's a lawyer. I get it. And then we're going to do the same on the second complaint. And then the third one, we're going to release her vehicle. She just needs to make arrangements to come pick it up.
Ms. Cushman is here, and Mr. Wilfong is present as well. So they're present if you'd like to hear from them.
Have you heard if they're satisfied with this proposal from?
I did not get to speak to Mr. He's satisfied. I did speak to Ms. Cushman. Y'all are satisfied. I spoke with the Kleinfelders, both of them. They are both attorneys. They both had to be out of town. I think their biggest concern was compliance with the rules, and it appears that we can get in compliance working with the inspector.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Would anyone like to make a motion addressing the complaint?
Who changed the flat tire?
Sir?
The driver of mine.
All right. I was just curious. I read through here a couple of times and saw it was changed, but I couldn't figure out how it changed. That's all.
So just to be clear, our motion would concern us releasing them upon the repayment or rescinding these monies back?
Partial repayment on the first two. And that's the $25 fee that I brought up. It's ambiguous right now that y'all need to resolve. As I told this gentleman here, Mr. Fields, we're going to start putting that in that letter where they're on notice, regardless of whether it's there 3 days or 5 days. That starts the administration. We're also going to put in that letter that they're going to be charged additional $35. They've got to bring in proof of insurance, because that's what the $35 offset fee is.
and then be placed on again, I would ask for a year probation. Again, I'm not opposed to review in 6 months, and then finding then basically order them to comply with all the other provisions.
That's why we're entering a no contest at the present time.
You're gonna tackle that, Mr. McMillan? Okay.
Mr. Zane, help me here a second. On the first one, you're gonna return how much money? Just 35 and 25, did you say?
Yes, on the first two, and we'll go ahead and refund the tax if they claim we can't charge them. I mean, somebody's collecting our tax.
So you're saying on the first two,
First two would be the Wilfong and Kleinfelter. And even though the third one owes us the money, we're just willing to get paid, just to release the vehicle and have her come pick it up.
all right, do we need to make 3 motions, Mr. Fields, or?
With this committee, I'm happy for you to make a motion. I mean, from our standpoint, if you take action in one motion, it's fine. If you want to take 3 separate ones, that's fine as well. I don't know that it matters.
All right.
Legal, do we need to take more than one?
If we can do it all in one.
Well, I'll try to tackle it, but I'm going to need your assistance, I think, through this, because I'm still a little confused on the financial part. But I'd make a motion to first place Southside Towing on 1-year probation with a review in 6 months, and that if everything's in compliance, I think we would look favorably about ending that probation. So that's kind of an encouragement to be in compliance. The second part would be that to accept Southside's no contest plea to all these allegations, and then also that they are conditioned on they are going to release the vehicle to who?
Ms. Cushman.
Ms. Cushman.
Ms. Cushman. She can come pick it up today or tomorrow.
Okay, so lady just raised her hand. You understand? Okay, I'm going to finish my motion first. And then the second part of that motion would be to refund $35 and $25 plus the tax on
Both the first two complainants. One's Kleinfelter.
on the Kleinfelter and also on Mr. Wilfong.
Yeah.
Is that completed, Mr. Fields?
And I think we need to do it because we didn't specifically put it in the ladder.
That,
And you're going to clarify the municipal ordinance.
so
by having an
it's
amendment.
$60 being returned onto the first two,
And tax.
and plus the tax.
Whatever the
Okay.
tax.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. McNally, I thought you were familiar with no contest.
I know, no contest. Everybody keeps failing to report their no contest charges.
Well, I heard today.
See you.
Thank you.
We also have a
Yeah.
complaint against Country Music Crawler. Mr. Fields?
A complaint was filed by Emmett Martin. Mr. Martin's here, and Miss Pizzatola's here as well.
All right, Mr. Martin?
Mr. Martin? They'll hear from Mr. Martin, then they'll ask you
Oh,
the
okay.
question. That's okay.
Hello, it's your complaint, so I'll let you go ahead and state your basis for it.
It's pretty simple. They have 1 permit and they're operating 2 bikes. And my understanding was they were cited for that and then continue to operate 2 bikes.
Mr. Fields, is that correct?
We had reports that the Country Music Crawler had 2 vehicles. In my conversation with Miss Pizzatola, and I guess she'll remember, but I like to let her speak. I can tell you what I did. We spoke, and she had advised me that she was buying a second one. She'd be approaching the commission for an additional permit. We've had conversations about when she could approach the commission. In following the commission rules, as you've established, we have an annual hearing in August, and I advised we'd hear it in August. And she asked to hear it quicker, and I said, there's not a basis for that because that's what we do with taxi cabs and carriages and other kinds of vehicles. I talked to her about the vehicle. She said, yes, I've bought another vehicle. It's not marked properly yet. And I said, we'll get some temporary signs on it, make sure we've got insurance. I said, but you can't operate but one at a time. And she said, what you want to do is train on it, was I think is what you had told me. So they were going to be training on it. In the meantime, I had reports that both vehicles were on the street at the same time. Unfortunately, our inspectors did not see it. We didn't see them both operating at the same time. We saw them operating independently, but we couldn't verify where they were. Several phone calls, and then Mr. Martin and I said, if you'd like to file a complaint, you have the right to come in front of the commission.
Did you witness it with passengers, both?
Oh, they're fully operating for the past 3 weeks, fully with passengers all day long. I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore. I have pictures, video, I mean, it became so obvious that I just quit taking pictures and video. They're just out there everywhere.
Mr. Fields, have we reviewed any of these pictures or video?
Well, I have the pictures that he sent me, and I can give them to him because I didn't know if he would bring them. But
yeah, and I have some, and I have the videos on my computer. I didn't bring it, but I figured at this point it was so obvious that there was no reason to keep filming it.
The problem is, even though something would be reported to us, if we don't actually see it, it's very difficult for the staff to prosecute it. You will recall some of the same sort of complaints with horses and carriages. Therefore, we ask anybody that would file a complaint just to file the complaint then.
Full. I mean, I was out of town this weekend, so I don't know if you guys saw it this weekend, but I mean, they originally started with the white bike, which is from a different company, and they stayed in the gulch behind all the warehouses. My assumption is they were trying to hide it back there, but they were operating. So when I told Billy about it, and he said, oh, it's their backup bike. And I said, okay, cool. I let it go. The next weekend, they're out there in the gulch. And I went, no, they're now out there again. So he goes, okay. And then, can't remember exactly, but he said they've been cited for that. So the next weekend, now the second bike's wrapped, and both bikes are everywhere on Broadway. So I emailed Billy and I said, I'm just trying to understand something here. They have one permit, they know they're only supposed to operate one, and they're still out there with 2 bikes? And he said, we'll see what happens here.
One photograph was on the 6th that he sent me, one was on the 12th.
That's of May.
And there's no pleading ignorance to this. I mean, they know that they're operating illegally 2 bikes, and I just think it's the fact that they were already cited and they still continue to do it just blows my mind. But we've worked, Brian and Angie and myself have worked really hard to make this thing legit and right, and for them to go out and blatantly break the rules is just, And they also, to add to that, they've been doing something that personally was so kind of small I didn't really care about it, but in light of this, I think there's a pattern of them just blatantly breaking the rules. In the ordinance, it says you cannot pick people up on the street. On their website, in 2 different places, it says we are the only pedal carriage, whatever, company that will pick you up on the street. It's on their website, and I have it right here too. Yeah.
I don't need this. I just want to see the website. Where is the website?
The pictures were taken when again?
I believe the single picture of the white vehicle was taken on May the 6th, and the other was on May 21st, I believe.
And then here's
according to what those were pictures he sent to me.
Here's May 12th. I mean, I honestly stopped taking videos of pictures because it just was so obvious. I thought everybody's got pictures and videos of it now.
Is that Mr. Driver? No. I don't think so.
So it's been, to my calculation, almost 3-4 weeks that this has been going on. Is that right? 3 or 4 weeks?
Would you like anything else to add?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Ms. Pistola?
Yes, sir. Sorry, let me move this over here real quick. Okay. I don't even know where to begin. Everything he's mentioned is the truth, but there's story or whatever truth behind the truth. Mr. Fields is aware of everything. He's emailed me. I have the emails. I emailed him. I have my calendar here of everything. On April 14th, I have right here my notes. I spoke with Mr. Fields concerning confusion of loading and unloading bikes downtown, and even spoke with Lieutenant Burke. We were being, per se, a little bit harassed by Mr. William Morris, who works for Public Works, telling us that we can't drop off and unload at certain locations, and to unload and move on and whatnot. The pictures he's showing you, the pictures of the bike in the white, is the bike I bought several months ago. On that date, the first date that he claims I was out on April 21st, it was out because, beginning with, my other bike was broke down. We brought that bike down while the mechanic was repairing the other bike. I didn't hide anything. Obviously, if I was hiding anything, I would have done a bit of hiding. In my schedule here, and I told Mr. Fields on May 6th, and it's right here, 11 to 6, we were in the Gulch on driver's training and server training. I was not hiding in the Gulch or hiding from anybody in the city, by no means. How am I going to hide a 17-foot bus? Okay? On April, my notes here goes on and whatnot, I went over, I met with Miss Diane Marshall with Public Works, because Mr. Morris just continued to harass us about loading and unloading and where we could load and unload, and spoke with Mr. Knopf, and according to Public Works, I spoke with Mr. Fields about this, and in emails back and forth, Lieutenant Burke, I think and Lieutenant Williamson downtown, everybody. Anyway, came to the conclusion that we were allowed 30 minutes to unload and load in a loading marked zone on Broadway or anywhere downtown, as long as it was stated that, and as long as somebody was occupying my bike at all times. So where I'm going with this is, when Mr. Morris continued to harass us to unload our passengers and move out.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morris, he is not here.
Mr. Morris still present.
Mr. Morris is there.
I would refrain from alleging that he's harassing you.
Okay.
Unless you can back it up with some evidence.
Okay, I have one of my employees here who he spoke very verbally hard to, can vouch for that. Yeah, okay. So anyway, back to why the other bike came out, because back to back to April 4th of 2016, in a meeting that I brought this up back in November of 2016, when I came into business, my first year into business, and Mr. Fields said I was grandfathered in and I would be able to get allowed another bike, and then all this commission, all this stuff came down where I was not allowed to get another bike because you guys voted no more bikes to come in. The wear and tear on my initial bike of $75,000 running this has cost me this year alone, and I have a receipt that I just spent yesterday of $2,700 to replace my e-motor. I've had to bring the other bike down because this bike broke down, and I've had towing and everything. The customers on there is because we had to unload per Mr. Morris's request, unload, drop them off, disappear, and come back and pick my customers up. We're not like a horse and buggy carriage. We can't just unload and circle the block in Broadway with traffic and be back in 15 minutes and pick up my customers. And on top of all this, I'm out probably $10,000 in refunds from upset customers that we've left standing at the bar because we couldn't come back and pick them up. And we came up with I won't say we, I was out of town on this particular weekend of the 29th, I think, at my daughter's wedding party, and my assistant general manager made the decision, one bike will drop them off and the other bike will come down and pick them up. We weren't hiding anything. I emailed Mr. Fields, asked me, was my other bike out? I was out of town at this time and really wasn't checking my phone because it was a special day of my family. I spoke with Mr. Fields on that Friday morning and told him, I'm going out of town this weekend. I talked to him on that Friday morning. I said, I'm going out of town. The weekend prior to this, I had issues, and I was in California, Coachella with my other daughter, answering my phone and was on the phone with Lieutenant Burke, for a whole weekend. And I told him on that Friday morning, I said, I got to have one weekend where my phone ain't ringing off the wall and something ain't happening. Okay, my GM made the decision to drop off, have the other bike parked and sitting still, and come down and pick up that group while the other one circled. And they did this on the Saturday of the 29th of the pictures that he's got both bikes out. After the bike was wrapped, Mr. Fields said I needed to have my name on there.
Ms. I've got a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
I know you're focusing heavily on the loading and unloading issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more also, I'd like to hear what you have to say about the two vehicles that are being used right here. Mr. Fields tells me this picture was taken on May 21st, or Mr. Martin.
I did not take the picture. That's a picture that was provided.
April 21st.
Mr. Martin, was it April or May?
That was April 21st. The bike is white?
No, this is a picture with two country music crawlers fully loaded with passengers in a single file line going down the street.
Is it a white bike and mine, or two red, white, and blue ones?
Two red, white, and blue ones.
Okay. Because I just had that bike wrapped like 10 days ago. So I don't know what day that picture was.
I could be wrong on the date.
Okay, because if you're wrong on the date, then I have an explanation for the date. Okay, and I'm not sure which one, who's Mr. Hernandez. Are you Mr. Hernandez? Okay. On May 1st, after I received your email back, denying me that I could still not get a second bike, I had to wait till August till the board met. That bike was revised. That bike is not a pedal bar.
Ms. Pistola advised me that it was no longer a pedal bar, it was now a party bus. I advised her that it needed to be licensed then as other passenger vehicle for hire. It's still not licensed.
It is licensed, sir. The bike is licensed.
I've licensed that as other passenger vehicle for hire?
No, not you haven't. No.
In order to operate in Davis County for hire with passengers of that size, it needs to be licensed in our office. It can't operate as a for hire. It's what I told you in an email.
Okay, I have it titled and licensed as a commercial business.
And that's absolutely fine. It still needs to be licensed as a vehicle under another ordinance in the metro, another ordinance.
674.
It's 674, which again, I told you in an email.
Yeah, I saw that in the email and everything.
Is it still operating?
No, we haven't operated it since then.
Yes, it's operating.
No, it's not, Mr. Martin. It's sitting in my garage, broke down at the moment. And I have a receipt right here on my phone of $2,700. The bike has not been out since, what is today? 26th. The bike didn't go out. The bike has not been out since the 13th. And on May 1st, the bike was titled and registered as a commercial bike, as a commercial bar crawl.
Either way, it would have to be registered as a
Yes, he informed me that.
As a vehicle with the TLC.
Yes, and it's a 17-passenger bus.
You can't just turn it up.
I can do what I want to, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Let's refrain from the, Mr. Martin, let's refrain from the direct exchange between the parties and let's just address the commission. All right, thank you, Ms. Pizzatola. You can we'll probably have some more questions in a minute.
That's fine.
Mr. Martin? Can you tell us when this picture was taken?
I can't tell you when that was taken. It's probably, I was out of town this weekend, so the weekend, or the same weekend as this, May 12th. And on all of my bikes, I have video cameras. I could literally go pull all those cameras and give you hours and hours and hours of footage. I have it all. Both bikes all day been out there, every weekend. I don't even know how there's a dispute with those pictures, and
Mr. Martin.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone have any more questions for
You
Ms.
don't mind.
Pizzatola?
No, I do not, Mr. Mayor. The two people, the gentleman with the TriStar and the hat, would you come forward? You seem to be shaking your head like you know something. If I remember correctly, you've got another company, right? Could you introduce yourself and...
Yes. My name's Brian Gleason. This is Angie Gleason. We operate the Nashville Pedal Tavern.
Okay.
And full agreement, we just didn't want to get involved. This is not any sort of violation against us as a company, so we didn't feel a consumer complaint was appropriate for us to file. But we also sent multiple videos, pictures to Billy Fields. All of them are dated and time-stamped.
What do they show?
They just show both bikes operating at the same time, full passengers. My biggest point...
When's the last time you saw both bikes on the streets?
Not this last weekend, but the weekend before that.
Same dates, the 6th and the 12th, both of those weekends, all weekends.
Of May?
Yes. And also, I mean, it's clear as day. You look on their website, they are booking and charging for 2 bikes. There's no way around that. I mean, they're booking tours every half an hour for 2-hour tours.
So you're telling us today you've seen this month both of these 2 bikes.
I have pictures and video on my phone right now if you'd like to see. In the same shot, fully involved with passengers.
Both bikes in a picture on your phone.
Yes, sir.
That gives me an indication of the date.
Yes, sir. Do you like to see it?
If you can get one up real easily. And then while you're doing that, can you give me an idea how long you've seen this going on? Both bikes?
Oh, probably about a month.
A month?
Yep.
8/12/226 timestamp on top.
That's the same picture we're looking over here, isn't it?
Yeah, so this may have been confused with an email I sent Billy.
Okay.
So this is my email, and clearly states the date and the time on top.
What'd you say the date and time were?
Yep,
May 12th.
May 12th.
Okay. Once you pass it all the way down, so everybody can see.
I believe there's, without him coming forward, I did not feel comfortable bringing evidence that I couldn't substantiate in front of the commission.
One of the things I do want to bring to the
Here's your phone.
commissioner's attention, Ms. Pizzatola sent correspondence directly to me in April and also to Mr. Fields. And I communicated those messages, the letters to Mr. Fields, and Mr. Fields, and also in consultation with council, suggested that I respond to Ms. Pizzatola and let her know that she would need to apply in August for an additional permit.
When you said council, you're talking about?
I'm talking about
Legal counsel.
TLC council.
Okay.
Yes. So Ms. Pizzatola is aware, certainly as of the end of last month and the date of the email where we again told her that she needed to apply in August or by the July deadline, that she was not going to be in consideration for an additional permit until that time.
I don't have any more questions of these folks. If they can sit down.
Yeah.
Unless anybody else does.
Thank you.
I would think, Ms. Pizzatola, have you actually seen these photos at all?
No, sir.
I would.
No, sir. And like I said, I don't need to see the photos. I'm not
Oh, you
hiding.
don't want it?
I'm not hiding anything at all. I have nothing to hide. Okay? Mr. Fields was aware that and you can see my calendar right here. May 6th, 11 to 6, driver server training. May 15th, I had it yesterday, Tuesday. I have nothing to hide from the board, hide from the city, hide from my competitors, not anything.
So are you operating 2
No,
pedal
sir.
taverns
Not
concurrently?
how to explain this. In April, when they saw me out and saw me in the Gulch, they were passengers on there. Most of 90% of them were my daughter's friends and college friends in training, and they're all coming back from college. I was not hiding. He knew I was training.
She told me she had a day of training.
Yes.
On that day.
I sent him another.
Now that is the only day I'm aware of driver training.
Right, but I sent you another email when you asked me about him. I sent you another email stating you that on that Monday I have training scheduled again in case you get a phone call or an email or a picture of me. I'm out training. He was fully aware of it. Okay? In May, when I received your email back from you, sir, and by the way, just so you know, the letter that I sent to you was sent to Mr. Fields in January. I met with Diane Marshall on January 19th trying to get
parking and all that worked out. So from January till your response on May 1st, I've been waiting for a response.
Ms. Pistola, I advised you when the hearing would be in August.
Right, you did advise me, but I'm saying that I sent the letter to you in January, and he advised me, you know, that I had to wait till August and whatnot, and I got legal advice, and they asked me to, told me legal advice came from the mayor's office. Wrightsman maybe his last name, and he advised me, they're the one that gave me your address, said take this to Mr. Hernandez and let him make a decision. And in May 1st. Yes, sir.
I would like Ms. Pistola to see this photo, even if you.
Okay, I will.
Could you bring your calendar up here too? I'd like to see it
Yes,
as well.
yes, sir.
I would just, is that a training day with passengers there? Those are both your vehicles, both wrapped?
That's May 12th.
I mean, May 12th?
No, as of this day, sir, my bike is tagged, and as of May 1st was a Friday, I received his email and sent back. I went and had my bike registered as a commercial business bar crawl. It holds 17 passengers. And from what I was told from the DMV and everybody, that I met all the guidelines. I have seat belts. It's this, if you look at this and you look at this one, this is a Cadillac compared to my other bike. It meets every regular.
Cadillac or Honda, they're both cars.
Right.
But you were aware from Mr. Fields' office and correspondence that needed a permit.
I don't know how to word this. I was, for Mr. Fields, that he told me I still needed to register it under him.
So you were aware?
I don't know about on that date. So I'm saying, I'd have to go back to my email and correspondence when he told me.
The issues that we have, and again, Ms. Pistola and I have had conversations, we've had emails. I heard from her when she was in Atlanta because she was speaking with one of the inspectors. When we had, I think there was actually a citation was being written for a driver
Yes.
that did not have a permit on that
Yeah,
vehicle.
that was Mr. Clark. That was tonight, Mr. Clark, and I was in Atlanta.
That's what my memory of.
Yeah.
And that night they required another driver to come and take them away. I think then she advised me that she wanted to do the two vehicles, and I said, well, you can only have one on the street at one time. You could take one from letting them out and send them back to the barn. And then when they get to the barn, you couldn't actually have two vehicles on the street at the same time because that would be operating.
Yeah.
Then I was advised that it was going to be turned into a party bus, and I said, you're going to take the pedals out. In other words, you're going to do everything to make it not look like. And I didn't. At that point, if you responded, I missed that response. Other than I responded that, you know, if it's a pedal, it's got to be licensed. If it's other passenger vehicle for hire, I'd like to know, you know, what kind of engine does it have?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a regular automobile engine or a truck, or is it a medium speed vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
which is not licensable in Davidson County for anything for passenger for hire? So again, I haven't been able to look at it, so I don't know if it's eligible for me to license it or not. As other vehicles on the street that I can't license because it's not seen in the ordinance. It's possible it could be licensed as other passenger vehicle for hire.
And I may have been given the wrong information too, or they may have misunderstood. When I went to the DMV to tag it and commercial business and everything, I went by their guidance. And when they inspected me, I met all the guidance, everything.
Does that second vehicle have pedals for the passengers?
There
to
is
pedal?
pedals, but they do not do anything to affect it. They're just for looks only. And I explained it to him in an email also. So back to the picture of two of them out. On that date, whatever date that was, if they both, and I just had it wrapped, is one's my pedal tavern, the other one was a bar crawl that's commercially business licensed. And I still have been told by the DMV that I don't fall under the TLC because it's more than 15 passengers. And that's, I mean, Mr. Fields, he's emailed me and told me that.
Does it have seat belts?
Yes, it has seat belts, sir. Has everything. It is like a
And who inspected
minivan.
it? And I'm not challenging,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the state
Curious as to where this
reviewing those vehicles. So I'd like to just visit with them because I need to know how they did it.
Yeah.
Who did you visit with? Do you recall?
With Sumner County, I did it where I live.
Okay.
What does it mean on your chart here
Mm-hmm.
on May 12th, 10 to 3, R-A-C-H?
Oh, that's
slash
a name,
Amber?
Rachel, which I don't have enough room to put a
All
name
right,
in
so
there.
it's Rachel and then Amber? And are those two drivers?
One will be a driver, one will be a server.
Okay, and then 6 to 9:30 is, I guess, Zachary, maybe Zach and
Yes,
Sherry?
yes. Normally the first name's the driver and the second name will be a server. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, just like Mr. Gleason said too. And I think I mentioned this several months ago. I too have probably hundreds of messages, not messages, I'm sorry, hundreds of pictures and things of every company in violation also. And just like Mr. Gleason said, he didn't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. I'm not going to stand up here 50-something years old and tattletale on everything, on the other companies. You know, Mr. Martin had a good reason to come forward when he saw two bikes out and flipped out. And I emailed Mr. Fields that. I said, in case you get a phone call today, I'm out. Okay?
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I also have a transportation company, and when I go on vacation or leave the country, does not negate my responsibility for my company. So if you are out of the city at a wedding, somewhere else, it's still your company.
I agree, sir. I agree. I absolutely agree. And who I legated it to is my son-in-law, you know, who made the decision. You know, I absolutely agree with that. And like I said, and I'm fully aware of both competitors taking my pictures, videoing me. I seen them. I saw them. My driver seen them. We wave at them. You know, we're not hiding anything. I'm not hiding anything at all. I had to make a command decision to adjust this bike because my other bike is taking a beating.
Has Mr. Morris inspected this newer vehicle?
No.
The company is required to make sure all the vehicles are in compliance. We have.
Yeah, and this is my main mechanic behind me right here.
We generally have to, we look at all the bikes. If we, you know, when I'm out on the street, if I see one of the bikes, I generally go over to them after they're stopped and look at the bike and make sure everything's where it's supposed to be.
We inspect our vehicles every day before they go out.
And again, the inspector is here today if you want to, if you have anything for him.
And we do have a bike down right now. I have pictures of it broke down, pictures of the pads, and I have a picture of my receipt that I just spent yesterday.
Well, again, and I could be confused. What I thought the second bike was for was to replace the main bike if it broke down.
It was, sir.
Now one's broken down. So you can't operate now because the red one is broken down?
Yeah, my original one, no, the other one is down right now. I'm replacing the e-motor in it.
Okay, well.
Yes, sir.
How many bikes do you have total?
Two.
You have two. You have one that's no longer a pedal bike, that's
Yes, sir.
now a party bus.
A bar
A
crawl.
bar.
Yes.
And you've got one that's.
A pedal bike.
Now, the one that's the party bus, party vehicle, that's 20 to 17 passengers, it's broken down. So at the present time, you just have the original crawler.
Yes.
Okay.
Now this bike will be operational tomorrow.
But if the red one breaks down, you can't take the white one out to operate.
No, exactly
The red
right,
one,
sir.
which means you just can't operate because you
No.
don't have another vehicle.
I don't have another vehicle.
Okay.
You know, and I think I made a comment in my letter, my emails and stuff to you. I mean,
Well, again, I thought the second bike was for the purpose of
it
the
was
backup
originally,
for the
sir.
first.
Originally, it was my backup bike originally.
Okay.
I cannot satisfy my customers and these refunds and these complaints. In fact, Mr. Martin can probably testify to this. 15 girls had to call his company Saturday because we were broke down, and they called his company to ride with them.
I
And they
just
called
wanted
and
to
phoned
understand
me.
mechanics, because again,
Yes.
what I've got is one licensed
Yes.
vehicle that we have information on and so forth.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and it's correct. What you have is correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'm out, honestly, this point, this is end of May, I'm out probably $50,000 in refunds, in returns, and sending my customers to my competitors because I'm operating with one bike. Okay? Yeah. The wear and tear, my brakes alone, I've already replaced my brakes twice. Stainless steel disc brakes, $2,200. Batteries I've already replaced. My tires I've had to replace. And alone, this past weekend, 6, 7 major complaints in my ratings because we were broke down. And one of my customers, who I call them all personally, refunded them, and she said, ma'am, don't worry about it. We were able to get on a bike with Sprocket Rocket, and our weekend was fine. I said, I'm glad you did, thank you. And Angie can tell you, I have emailed them numerous times asking them, do you have availability? Do you have availability? I've spoke with Martin's, whoever answers his phone, sending them customers. I send them customers every day because I can't supply them. You know, and I think I've made a little joke and a comment. It's like running a landscaping company with one mower. You know, my bike right now will not make it another season. I'm gonna have to literally redo the whole bike or purchase another bike. I cannot continue to run this company with one bike. And that was my whole purpose.
Well, and again, and now I'm a little more confused because now you had two bikes.
Right.
But now you just have one bike again. So you're still going to have to buy the second bike and ask in August if the commission were to approve another one. Then you would be able to run two at a time.
Right. What I've done though, sir, is I have changed my routes. I've changed the amount of tours the bikes can handle to get the wear and tear off of them and stuff. So I've adjusted other things. Right now, I am trying to satisfy my demand. You know, that's part of it now too.
Seems like there's a United Airlines lesson in there somewhere.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pizzatola.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin?
She's doing a whole lot of talking and not answering the question. I want to show you something. Her second bike that she's operating, this is her on Broadway. She got this bike from Florida. If you look on our website, you can look up on your phone, there are party bike businesses that claim to be in Nashville now. This is the same vehicle that she's talking about is now a party bus. That is a party bike. By definition, it is not a party bus. Is there a gas engine on that thing? No. It's a party bus. She's doing everything she can to get around it. We are sold out every weekend. Every weekend. If we wanted to go and skirt the system and bring out new bikes, we don't have that option because you didn't give us that option to go throw more bikes out there. She went before you just like we did. She asked for another permit. She was denied, and now she has gone around the system in every way she possibly can. I guarantee you, if you walked out there right now and looked at her bike, it's a party bike. That's ludicrous to say that's a party bus. She is operating illegally, and she's, with all due respect, lying through her teeth. Thank you.
Thank you. Did the commissioners have any more questions? Well, it does appear that we have a violation. There hasn't been any, there's been sufficient evidence in my mind that she's operating two party bikes. There has not been again, in my mind, sufficient rebuttal that this second bike is not a party bike operating unlawfully without a permit. And based on the photographic evidence, it looks like these bikes are operating at the same time with passengers.
I would have to agree with that.
Do you have anything to add, Ms. Costonis?
675090, suspension and revocation, says the certificate issued under the provisions of this chapter may be revoked, suspended, placed on probation, otherwise restricted, or not renewed by the MTLC if the holder thereof has violated any of the provisions of this chapter or failed to comply with any rule or regulation established by the MTLC. But while Tara has worked on this matter some, so I'll also defer to Ms. Ladd and see if she has anything to add.
No, just, I mean, I think that I've marked the relevant portions that if a person is found operating a pedal carriage, a pedal cab, without the certificate of necessity and convenience, the director or the commission has the ability to immediately take action. So I believe we've heard evidence regarding that. And just at the beginning of the petty cab statute, it states very clearly that there should be no operation
I would agree with that. There's a finding of necessity and convenience that the commission makes before they determine how many vehicle permits to issue to each certificate holder at the annual meeting. It clearly says that each pedal carriage and pedicab must have a permit issued by the MTLC. There's also a provision, no person shall equip, mark, paint, display, marking lights or windshield lights, or in any way cause any other vehicle to resemble a permitted pedal carriage or pedicab, or to create a public impression that any other vehicle is a permitted pedal carriage or pedicab approved by the MTLC. So I think there's potentially several different provisions of Chapter 675 that could be at issue. I will add, not to confuse the situation, but if she's right that it has 17 seats, that would not be licensable under Chapter 674, other passenger vehicles for hire. However, that only applies to motorized vehicles, and Mr. Fields has said he's not clear on what kind of motor we're talking about. If it is a medium-speed vehicle, that wouldn't be eligible for any kind of license from the Transportation Licensing Commission, but it would be prohibited as operating as a vehicle for hire.
Would it still fall under the provision of not being outfitted in a way to resemble a pedal tavern?
Arguably, yes, I would think. I mean, that's finding
And the
fact.
ranges of penalties are anywhere from suspension to revocation?
It may be revoked, suspended, or placed on probation, otherwise restricted, or not renewed by the MTLC. Those are the penalties.
Otherwise restricted.
I think that gives you authority on different sorts of operations.
Or you could put perhaps conditions on renewal of a permit.
Saturdays.
Some sort of other form of punishment that might be pecuniary.
I don't know if it could be pecuniary. There's nothing for fines that's provided for.
No, like not able to work on a Friday night or something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we have evidence that clearly two of country music crawlers were operating on the streets together. We've been offered a defense that one of them was not a pedal tavern, that the pedals were either not operating or removed, and there was some sort of engine, and also some suggestion that they were out there training, though that one photograph clearly is not training. And then there's also the concern that both of them clearly look like they're pedal taverns.
Pedal carriages.
Or pedal carriages, yep, thank you. And I don't see any defense to the appearance of looking like pedal carriages or holding themselves out as pedal carriages. And I think there was clearly an attempt to get both of them out there operating at the same time because of what I heard was financial need to have them making as much profit as possible. Have we in the past made a motion first to find whether there's been a violation and then deliberated on the appropriate sanction?
Yeah, that's certainly been done. It also clears up the record as to what we're exactly ruling on. I agree with you, Mr. McNally. I think that here the primary reason for operating the two vehicles is an economic one for Ms. Pizzatola. She wants to operate two vehicles. She wants to, in order to make her company more profitable, and that certainly is understandable from an economic standpoint. But we as a commission, we've been vested with the responsibility for setting out the rules and regulations governing pedal taverns and pedal carriages, and we have set forth a number of rules to be followed. So is the Metro Council, and the rule of law is very, very important. It's very important that our rules be followed when they're not, and if we don't enforce our rules, then in the future others will feel brazen enough to not follow the rules, and so they need to be followed, and that certainly trumps always an economic reason to violate the rule.
And one of the primary considerations we had before when we decided there was not a public necessity or convenience of adding additional pedal vehicles on the streets was the flow of traffic. And I was looking at these photographs, and clearly there's two on there, which is exactly not what we were trying to avoid. I'll make a motion to find that there has been a violation of putting two vehicles on with only one permit and having the appearance of two pedal carriages with only one permit.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
As we deliberate about the appropriate sanction, I look at this. This started in April with a request of how can I get another permit. If I'm understanding what I heard.
Ms. Pizzatola said it was earlier.
Okay.
I know we certainly talked about it in April, and she's saying it was January, so it could have been. I don't know that.
It seems that this situation started with a request from Country Music Crawler to try to get a second unit on the streets, and that's something I think we ought to consider. Is that it would appear to me that when that request to try to find a way to get a second unit on the streets early was frustrated, then efforts were made to figure out how to get around the rules, and culminating to where it finally Sprocket Rocket brought a complaint. My other concern is that this doesn't happen anymore, that the message gets out there, and that somehow we're assured that whatever company is doesn't operate more units than they have permits for. We don't have any previous precedents on this, Mr. Fields, do we?
We do not. I don't think I've run any cabs or anything else along these lines.
I hate to, I apologize for kind of leaning on you on this, but do you have a recommendation?
My intention, and I think Mrs. Pizzatola said, but I will not speak for her. My goal on everything we do is compliance with the ordinance of public safety. I have no desire to cause her to have any business problems or lose business. I understand her circumstance. I believe she'll make application. But again, if there's a violation, it's a violation. I was not present, I did not see them, so I can't speak directly to them. Again, this is our first offense in front of the commission. It appears that, very much like the other company that was here a little earlier with the record, that a period of probation would be very appropriate. But again, the commission's authority ranges from probation to all the way to revocation. And I would be happy to have all of our companies comply and be on probation. As long as they're in compliance, that's all that's all I think we want, is we want the public safety to be protected and comply with the local ordinance.
Could I interrupt for just a second? I apologize. We were just debating whether we needed to clarify the previous motion in case Ms. Pizzatola decides to exercise her rights to appeal the decision of this commission. Whether the actual sections of 675 that the commission believes were violated need to be specified in the finding of the that there was in fact a violation, the specific provisions that I was previously referencing, which may have informed your decision, were 675.020, no pedal carriage or pedicab shall be used or operated on a for-hire basis by any person in the territorial jurisdiction of the metropolitan government without an owner or operator having first obtained a certificate of public convenience and necessity. And this certificate of public convenience and necessity would specifically state that she had a license for one vehicle, because that is needed to be specified in the application in obtaining that certificate. Section 675.290, vehicle permit required, says each pedal carriage and pedicab must have a permit issued by the MTLC. And then the other one I was referencing was 675.310, vehicle to display identification, which has the language, no person shall equip, mark, paint, display marking lights or windshield lights, or in any way cause any other vehicle to resemble a permitted pedal carriage or pedicab, or create a public impression that any other vehicle is a permitted pedal carriage or pedicab approved by the MTLC. And then I don't know if you all were interested in that allegation, but there was also a reference earlier in the hearing to 675.450C, which says pedal carriage drivers shall not allow additional passengers to board the pedal carriage after the vehicle has left its fixed starting point. So I just wanted to throw those out there in case you wanted to amend your motion to be more specific in terms of your findings about which sections were violated.
What was the third one regarding the 310? Okay. In addition to that, I do have a question for Ms. Fields. The this secondary, this vehicle, was it ever inspected, licensed?
No, that was the one when we spoke the first time. I said, you know, you can't operate it without markings. It's got to be marked. I said, I think a temporary marking would be, an identifier would be appropriate, and let's get some markings on it. I said, wrap it, get some signs on it. I said, confirm with me when you've done that. She confirmed. I didn't see the signs, but again, the company's responsible for their own inspections. So if a company owner tells me they've complied with that request, then, you know, until proven different. So again, when we heard that picture appeared, I called her. She said, and I said, you can't operate it without signs. She said, well, I'll get signs on it. And I said, but you've got to get it in the office. It's got to be insured and so forth. So that's where I left it.
That never happened?
I don't think so.
Yes, I brought it in.
You have brought it in? Okay. Okay. Again, I don't deal with that part, so.
Because it was definitely in Nashville on April 22nd and operating. April 22nd, that's
And
30.
just before we add that provision,
3
if I
days
can
ago.
ask Ms. Pizzatola a question. Do you, in fact, advertise that you will pick customers up from the street?
No,
Is
sir.
that your website that we're seeing that advertises that?
I don't think it says for the street. It says if we have additional empty seats, we'll sell those seats. And I believe their website says the same thing. And they started that this year or last year also.
This says they'll take walk-ups.
Yeah, we take walk-ups, and what that means is that our starting point, if you walk up, Or you call us. Most of the times it's call, and they say, hey, do you have any empty seats? In fact, I saw 2 college girls from Pennsylvania the other day. They just got into town, and they said, hey, they called, do you have any empty seats? And I looked at my booking, I said, I happen to have, like 4 empty seats. I told her where the starting pickup point was, and that they pay at that point, and they got on the bike at that point. And I was driving that day.
So just specify these walk-ups are at the stands themselves.
At
and
the
not along-
startup point, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we just don't allow people just jump on the bike anytime they want to. We do have it happen, homeless and some drunks and stuff, and we remove them immediately. But no, it's at the startup point. I can reword that on my website.
It was just for clarification to
Yeah.
add the ordinance to the,
Yeah, and I believe their website says the same thing, that they'll sell additional empty seats if they have it.
Mr. McNally, would you
Yeah,
like
I'll-
to make another motion amending the prior motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to amend the previous motion that I think was voted on and passed. And I'm going to amend it sticking just to the 2 the violations that I mentioned before, leaving alone the walk-up versus whatever on the carriages. But I find that there was a violation of 6.75.020, requiring that pedal carriages, that there was a violation of not having the appropriate certificate of public convenience and necessity for the second carriage that was seen on the streets during the course of April and May of 2017. And also to amend it that 6.75.290, that the second carriage was not operating with an MTLC permit as required by this particular section in the months of April and May of 2017.
Are you purposely excluding 675.310?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'll go ahead and add that there was a violation of 6.75.310 where the vehicle failed to display identifying the appropriate identification and was holding itself out to be a permitted pedal carriage while it was not.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Now we're left with a difficult decision on what an appropriate sanction should be, and it's difficult because any sanction beyond probation, will have a monetary and detrimental effect to the country music hauler's business if we suspend the operations of the company or revoke the permits that the one permit that she does have. Probation, doesn't, in my opinion, does not seem sufficient. For the violation we're dealing with here, though. She has operated for some period of time with 2 vehicles. And there's no ignorance about it either. I mean, this is a blatant violation of our rules.
If I could figure out how much ill-gotten gain was obtained by the second vehicle during the roughly 33 days it was operating or seen operating, that would be something I think that I would like to add as a sanction, but I don't have any sufficient information to be able to articulate that or come up with a sanction. I would make a I would throw this out possibly. Certainly probation is appropriate. No matter what, probation has to be a part of this, I think. But what about suspending from June 1st through June 14th the operation, which we already know right now downtown's going to have a problem during that period of time. I think it would get the message out. It certainly would have, she would not be able to work in the Gulch or other areas that they're permitted during that period, during that 2 weeks. But I would also recommend a 1-year probation on there as well. And that's not a motion, that's throwing it out on the table for suggestions or thought.
I like the idea of the first 14 days of June. I kind of also like the idea of the last 6 days of May. It's an even 20 days. And we think that they've been in operation for portions of 33 days in violation, as we found earlier. And so I look at it from today's date until that June 14th date.
May I speak before you make your decision?
Yeah, you may address the commission again.
I'll be real brief. The 2 days in April that my bike was out in the Gulch area was training. The day that it was on the streets in Nashville together was considered, in my eyes, in my company's eyes, not a pedal tavern per se. This bike has only been on the street 4 days out of the 26 days I've had it wrapped in our first conversation with Mr. Fields. Monetary, when you speak of monetary, and not to be offensively, these guys will tell you back here, the monetary is not the issue here. I'm the cheapest bike in town. I'm $25 a seat. It's not about losing the money. I'm more concerned about my company's name and my image. And you go on my website and read my reviews and my 5.0, you'll see what I'm talking about. When they talk about me, my customers, my employees, everything, that's more important to me than the monetary. And I just want to say that. I'd rather not my name and my company name be destroyed, because if you shut me down for the next 6 days, that's probably, let's say roughly 20, 30, 40 customers, groups of customers, which is last weekend being broke down. I took major hits on my website and on my Facebook, cussing me, telling me or telling people to never book with me, don't ride with me. They broke down, they canceled on us. I don't want that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we understand your point. Ms. Pizzatola raises in my mind, a good point that if we do any kind of suspension, she will have to immediately notify any booked customers that she's having to cancel their reservation. If we suspend her immediately, it will have a great impact on those people who are booked tomorrow and the next day, this weekend. So we may want to consider, if we're going to do 20 days, starting it at a different time period. So the impact is the same on Ms. Pizzatola in terms of not being able to operate for a certain period of time, but there's time for those passengers who've booked to make other arrangements.
Having found a violation of the rules as earlier moved by the commission, I move that we suspend the certificates and license of Country Music Crawler for the period of June 1st through June 20th.
Any probation?
With a probation period of 1 year beginning June 21st, 2017.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. That concludes our agenda for the day. Is there any other business, Mr. Fields?
Have no other business.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.